For as long as we can remember, the 30-year fixed mortgage has been sold to us as the American dream. But what if it's not? What if it's actually a trap? And what if there's a financial tool that could flip your biggest liability, that huge home loan, into your single greatest asset, and do it decades ahead of schedule? Well, let's dive in.
Okay, so to really get how this works, let's look at a real-world story. We're talking about a single parent. They've got a great job as a middle manager, 2 awesome kids, and a pretty stable life. They're bringing in over 10 grand a month. So on paper, things look great. But there's this worry simmering just below the surface.
And that worry, it's something I think a lot of us can relate to right now. I mean, sure, they've been at their company for over 10 years, but who does that protect anymore? What happens if AI comes for their job, or there's a round of sudden cutbacks? Poof, that stable job is gone. And all that equity they've painstakingly built in their home, it means absolutely nothing to a bank if you can't show a paycheck. This right here is the problem we're going to solve.
So before we get to the solution, we really need to understand the problem. And the problem is built right into the way a traditional 30-year mortgage works. It's why so many people feel like they're in a trap.
Okay, this is really interesting. There are basically 2 levers you can pull to build equity in your home. The first one is just appreciation, right? That's the passive one. It's slow and it's totally at the mercy of the market. But that second lever, that's the pay down. And this one is active. It's fast and it's 100% driven by the choices you make. The big problem, traditional loans are basically designed to stop you from pulling that second lever with any real force for years and years. So the question is, how do you grab that second lever and just yank it with everything you've got? Well, that's where a totally different kind of mortgage comes in, a much, much smarter way to pay.
It's called the all-in-one mortgage, or AIO for short, and what it does is pretty revolutionary. It basically turns your home loan into this powerful financial engine that works for you. The idea is so simple it's brilliant. Instead of your paycheck just sitting in your checking account doing nothing, every single dollar goes to work for you, instantly, paying down your mortgage principal.
And here's exactly how that engine works. First, your paycheck gets deposited directly into the loan account. Bam! Your principal balance drops instantly. Then, because the interest is calculated daily on that new lower balance, you end up paying less interest. This creates this incredible feedback loop that just slams the principal down and shoots your equity through the roof like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, so this sounds amazing, right? But I gotta be straight with you. The AIO isn't for everybody. It's a pretty specialized tool, and it has some very specific requirements. So let's run through the checklist.
All right, here's what you need to qualify. First, you need at least 20% equity in your house. Your FICO score, gotta be 700 or higher. Your debt-to-income ratio, or DTI, needs to be under 43%. And finally, you need some cash on hand, liquid reserves of about 10 to 15% of the loan amount. Now, our single parent in this story, they checked every single one of those boxes. They were good to go.
So, what happens when someone who qualifies actually puts this thing into action? Well, the results are, honestly, they're mind-blowing. This is where the numbers get really, really powerful.
Just look at this. It's like a race to a paid-off home. So on the old loan, our single parent had 25 years left. That's 300 more payments. But with the AIO, they were completely debt-free in just 83 payments. That's, 6.9 years? Not 25 years, under 7. The difference is just absolutely staggering.
And it's not just the time you save either. Because you're paying down that principal so aggressively, you pay way less in interest. On the traditional path, they were on track to pay over $126,000 in interest. With the AIO, it was just over $87,000. That's a savings of almost 40 grand, straight back in their pocket.
But honestly, this next number, this is the one that really gets me. This isn't just about money, it's about getting your life back. The AIO gave this parent 18.1 years of their life back. 18 years without a mortgage payment. I mean, just stop and think about that. What would you do with an extra 18 years of financial freedom?
And that's what this all leads to, right? The ultimate payoff. Because when you free up that much time and that much cash, you unlock the door to serious wealth, real freedom, and a level of security you probably never thought was possible.
One of the strategists who worked on this exact case, they said it perfectly. They said, forget all the numbers for a second. The most powerful thing for this parent was that they now have time. Time is the one thing we can never make more of, right? But this strategy, it literally gave them more of it.
Okay, let's really break down what that 18-year advantage looks like. So, for those 18 years, you've got 2 paths.
On path 1, the traditional loan, you're still grinding it out, sending that $1,422 check to the bank every single month. But on the AO path, you take that exact same amount of money, and instead of sending it to the bank, you invest it. You put it to work, building your own wealth.
So what does that actually add up to? Well, let's say you take that freed up $1,422 a month and you just stick it in a simple S&P 500 index fund. Assuming a pretty standard 10% average return, in those 18 years, that account could grow to over $863,000. Just let that sink in for a minute. Not only is your house completely paid off, but you also have nearly $1 million in an investment account? That is life-changing.
But wait, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Remember that initial worry? What about job loss? This is where the AIO offers what might be its most powerful feature, total peace of mind. See, the loan actually functions like a home equity line of credit. So every single dollar of principal you pay down becomes money that you can access instantly. So if the worst happens, if you lose your job, that money is sitting right there, a built-in safety net to cover your expenses. It's a safety net you build with every single paycheck.
So really, it all boils down to this one question. For years, we've all been trained to obsess over getting the lowest possible interest rate. But what if that's completely the wrong question to be asking? Maybe the real question is this. Would you rather have a slightly lower interest rate that keeps you in debt for 30 years? Or would you rather get 18 years of your life back to build actual life-changing wealth? It really makes you stop and think, what's the true cost of your mortgage?